today? Welcome everyone. Let's start the press conference. Please, questions in English.
Jannik, congratulations. This afternoon, did you play the match of your life? And what did it feel like playing that match?
Match of my life, I don't know, but it's for sure very, very important. As I say, it helps a lot the last competition that is a team competition, and because you get a lot of energy from your teammates, from the whole team, and then the crowd is different. And I really enjoyed playing today. It was a great match. I started off really well, and obviously in the second set he raised his level, and the third set I just tried to hold my service games and waiting for a good opportunity, which arrived on 5-all, and I took it. And obviously it was a very crucial match for the whole team, and at the end of the match I was really happy for the team to be at least able to play a deciding doubles, and we played really good, and I think it was a really positive day today.
Jannik, I just wanted to ask you about the 3 match points that you saved at 4-5 in the third set in the singles. Can you just talk us through what was going through your head? How did you remain calm in those moments, and what were you trying to do in each of those points?
I know that it was a really important, obviously, important game. We changed not for so long for new balls, so I knew if I'm gonna serve well that maybe I have some free points. But I had to stay in the present moment. It was love 40, and he missed a quite easy backhand, which gave me a little bit of confidence and belief. And then after I served twice, really good. And nothing, after this kind of games, your energy level and then mental level, it's racing, and I think this helped me today.
Jannik, over here. I'm not sure anyone else can maybe say they've beaten Novak Djokovic twice in one afternoon. What does that achievement mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot. Obviously, before the match, we were talking that it was a really important test today. Trying to understand what to expect before the match, and then I think we made a good tactical moment also before the match, and obviously playing it is a little bit different, but I think I have to be really proud about how I handled the situation. And as I said, I'm just very happy for all of us, for the team, and tomorrow we have a great opportunity. We know this, but in the other way we will try to stay as relaxed as possible, keeping the smile in our head, which is important also, and then also to be happy to be here. It's not so many. For me, it's the first time that we can play a final in Davis Cup, which it means a lot for us.
One last question in English over there.
Jannik, just looking forward to the final, and to the other guys, please, as well. Apparently, the Australian team that you're facing in the final, you'll be playing Daniil, presumably, in the second match, and you've got this extraordinary hold over him. I think it's only going to take 1 set off him. How much of an advantage do you think that is for you, and what confidence does that give you?
Well, we don't know who is gonna play.
Se ti faccio giocare.
Yeah, we have to decide. We have to. I have a lot of hours in my leg. This I know. If I play against him, it's gonna be different. Finals, as I said, it's always different. But let's see. It's his decision. He's the captain of the team, and so he can answer you that.
What do you say?
Thanks, Jannik. No, obviously it's our point of power. Jannik gave us a lot of energy, gave us a lot of confidence in ourselves, obviously. He's a great player, but he's not only a great player, so he's a great person. That's what I like. So, yeah, he's probably in the first position to play tomorrow.
What do you think of the Australian team?
Strong, different. Different from Serbians. Maybe more, maybe closer than Netherlands, as singles and doubles. But still, we have to take care of us, thinking about tomorrow, enjoying today, but focus for tomorrow. So head to tomorrow.
We switch into Italian, per favore, domande in Italian.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. Have on chauffeur. Shisha.
Ready? Play.
Well, hello there and welcome to Talking Tennis. I've realised that my mic is not plugged in. Someone whose mic is plugged in is Damien Kuss. How are you doing, Damien?
Your voice was still good. It was pretty crisp actually, so everything is fine. Yeah, I'm here to join you for, let's say, the first few games when before Kira gets here as well. I might leave, I might stay. We'll see. Maybe it will depend on the quality of the match. Maybe it will depend on the quality of the talk.
Wow. Clearly, I'm not particularly interesting co-host for Damien. But I will say this: how interested is Damien Kuss in this match, Sinner versus Medvedev? We've had this a few times very recently.
I'm actually interested. I think there's still quite a bit of an edge to this matchup. Obviously, it's been like one of the most dynamic rivalries the past 2 years, in that you've had a 6-0 lead for Daniil, then Jannik wins 4 in a row. I doubt it's going to be like this, forever. I doubt that Sinner is just going to... Sorry for my voice, by the way. I didn't even realize that it's like that. But yes, I am a bit... let's say yesterday was a party. Yeah, anyway, now that I started talking, I realized that, okay, it's not exactly the best. However, yeah, Sinner Medvedev, I feel like there's still quite a lot of intrigue with how the matchup sort of worked out over the years. Lots of sort of the natural progress that Sinner made has really improved his chances in the matchup, because he's stronger physically now, so he can endure these longer rallies. He's of course getting more free points on serve, so he can avoid the longer rallies. He can throw in the drop shot. He can go to the net, which previously wasn't really an option for him. And especially even last year, right, Miami, because that was when Daniil gained that 6-0 lead on him in the Miami final. And that was when Sinner really like tried to use the drop shot 9 times and failed on every single occasion. It's a famous, well, infamous maybe more stat. And ever since then, I mean, obviously he's won 4 in a row, but it's not like they've been easy for him. So I am actually very hopeful of a close match here. I think Medvedev has a pretty good chance to win. I think it's close to a 50-50. Would be massive for him to win as well, since, well, he's had a phenomenal season so far, both of them obviously, but maybe for Medvedev it's not going to be like mentioned that much because he doesn't have a title. But yeah, I mean, he's close here, you know, he can defend his crown from last year, which would be something that he could do for the first time in his career as well. Obviously, I'm not saying that if he beats Sinner tonight, he definitely wins on Sunday. But yeah, I still feel like even though we've seen it so many times, there is intrigue to it. I am excited to watch it. And it's been a developing rivalry that's sort of from early domination and probably one of the worst matchups on tour stylistically for Jannik. It's kind of really developed into something that is very, very worth watching.
Yeah, I would agree. And look, I say they've played a lot. They've played 4 times from October onwards. That's almost that's almost 6 months. Factor in maybe their Miami match from last year as well in the final. Did they play in between the Miami final and that Beijing match?
No. That was just Miami 6-0 for Daniil and then the 4 wins for Jannik. But yeah, it's insane actually to think about how sort of they just keep meeting each other at such important matches, right? Over the past year or so, Miami final, ATP 1000, ATP 500, 2 finals in Vienna and Beijing. You've got the semifinals of the ATP finals, and of course the final of the Australian Open. So it's really been like one of the most important rivalries of last 12 months as well.
Yeah, and absolutely. Look, I think without that win over Medvedev in Beijing, Sinner's career doesn't get that boost in the same way, or it might be a bit like the confidence doesn't come in the same way. That Australian Open match, if it had gone the other way, we wouldn't be talking about Jannik Sinner as a Grand Slam champion. We'd be talking about him as the nearly man. Beats Djokovic, doesn't capitalize against Medvedev in the final. And as you're saying, yes, Jannik's won the last 4 times, but 3 of those 4 matches weren't straightforward for him.
I mean, maybe even neither was really. Like you've had a 7-6, 7-6 in Beijing, which like outside the tie breaks wasn't straightforward either. Like really every single time it's been, there's been a fight. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Of course, at the Australian Open final, we're kind of like looking at it in 2 different ways because, Medvedev was so tired, right, that he comes out playing this super aggressive style. I don't know if that was, that's going to show up today. I think it should, at least to an extent, but this time not out of necessity, right? This time just out of, wanting to change something. And specifically for Daniil, I mean, he's such a good tactician as well. You kind of just expect him to at some point, bring something new to the table, to have an ace up his sleeve somewhere. And I would love to see that today, just to have a very tight match between them again, which obviously is very possible because, as we said, like it's not like Jannik has been totally dominating Medvedev and kind of just destroying him every single time since Beijing. And in fact, you said that this was such an important win for Jannik's progress, and I absolutely agree about that. Like that Beijing one over Medvedev, because at that stage it really felt like the next step in Jannik's career, at least some of it, because to a Grand Slam title maybe we were still back then like pretty far from that. But like after winning the ATP 1000 in Toronto, basically the next step for him to take was to beat Daniil or Novak, like someone like that, whom he hasn't beaten. And of course he's done both since, but that Beijing round was and the win, the back-to-back wins over Sinner and Alcaraz, that really like started it all. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're waiting for the match to kickstart as Kira has arrived. Hello, Kira.
Hello. Much earlier than I thought I'd be, which is good.
Fantastic. So we were just discussing the Medvedev-Sinner matchup and how close it's been. Even though Jannik's won the last 4 meetings, they could have all gone either way. Damien, when you were talking about the 7-6, 7-6, win over Medvedev in that Beijing final, I automatically thought back to the podcast you did. I think it was with Vanch, but like for Talking Tennis at the end of last year, when we remembered it as one of the matches of the year, and you covered it so brilliantly. But yeah, so I think, you know, and actually, John, the producer was just showing the Vanch's tweet. I think if you scroll down the replies, you'll see my prediction. But yeah, Kira, are you expecting this to be a tight one, or do you think there's the wind's blowing in a clear direction, or certain direction for a certain player?
I definitely don't think it's an obvious one. I don't think it'll be an easy match. For me at the moment, I am going for Medvedev. Medvedev win, probably 3 sets.
Okay.
But yeah, close.
It's going to be close either way. I think I would be surprised if any of the sets are decisive. The players are about to step out on court, by the way. Very quickly, Damien, where are you kind of on the scale? Are you is it going to be close in one direction? Close for Sinner, close for Medvedev? 3 sets, 2 sets?
I just think it's much closer than, you know, the odds suggest and what probably most people think. I simply have too much respect for Medvedev to just sort of automatically assign Sinner his win. It's similarly kind of to like Alcaraz and Medvedev at the US Open in the semis, where maybe like the matchup felt even worse for Daniil, but like you just kind of have to think that, well, first of all, he is a hardcore specialist. He says it on every, on every occasion. He knows he is. He says it all the time, but you know, it's actually right. And like, I just respect him a little too much, also as like an analyst of the game and a tactician, to really believe that he's just gonna fall flat against, you know, every single time from now on.
Sinner's come out swinging in this match. He's got a really good serve to start with, and then he was really dictating the point, but that last inside-out forehand has gone wide, and it's 15-all. Certainly, the minute Sinner's the one who's come out firing, which might disrupt my prediction of Medvedev in 2 close sets. But hey, look, I'm happy either way this match is going to go. I think it's going to be good, whichever way we go. So let's have a look and see how this match is progressing. We're already very shortly into it. 3rd point of the whole match. 2nd serve from Sinner, which Medvedev gets back in play. Inside out forehand from Sinner, backhand Medvedev. Sinner goes cross court on the backhand to the Medvedev backhand. They're just trading at the minute. Trading backhand with Medvedev is a dangerous game, but the Sinner's continuing to do it. He's probably one of the few people who has the rally tolerance to continue. Medvedev goes to the inside out forehand, which causes Sinner to scramble on the defense and then change direction with a forehand. That's a forehand winner from Daniil Medvedev. What is this? He's playing aggressive. And as Damien, you were saying, we knew Medvedev had to do that out the gate.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see to which extent, but it would certainly be nice to see him sort of implement these tactics from the Australian Open, which, yeah, as I said earlier, like back then they were kind of a necessity because he was 24 hours on the court and he was so dead. Just implement them as a tool, not necessarily as the main part of his game, because obviously that would also take away some of his other assets, a lot of his other assets. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see some sort of a more aggressive version of Medvedev in matches like this. And he's kind of shown since that he's going to be doing this. I mean, Indian Wells final against Carlos, like, I know it was a straight set loss, but it was actually a very impressive performance. And I think a lot of that error patch that Alcaraz had at the very beginning was just how much Medvedev was rushing him.
Yeah, that first set was super tight. Could have gone either way. Sinner's hit an unreturnable first serve, by the way, to get to 30-all. So he's going up the tee again with that one, but he's going to have to do a second serve because the first serve was long. I will come to you, Kira, in a minute when this point is done. We've got a second serve from Sinner right on the edge, but clips the line. Backhand from Medvedev, the backhand of Sinner again, backhand to backhand trading with Medvedev. What's Sinner going to do? Goes deep with that backhand. Now goes inside out on the forehand. Still going to Medvedev backhand winning. Now changes direction with the backhand. Medvedev goes long with the forehand. Takes a little bit too much on that, and Sinner now moves to game point early on. Very clear signs. This is going to be a clear battle. I mean, Kira, what do you make of Medvedev Mark II? Now let's get Medi.
Love it. Number one. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Damien in that, yes, the tactics in the Australian Open were out of necessity, like you say. How long he'd spent on the court was a bit ridiculous. But for 2 sets, they really did work in his favour. So it seems to me like a bit of a no-brainer for him to use that when he can today. It's just how much he'll be given the opportunity to on Sinner's serve, particularly, I think.
Yeah, I mean, certainly in this match, I can't remember the last time Medvedev really hit through his forehand, like he's been trying to do already on a couple of points. Probably not since that Australian Open final, really. I mean, that Australian Open final was very strange, given how sort of the sense of urgency Medvedev had. So it's going to be interesting to see as he's getting ready to serve to kickstart his first service game of this match, how he handles the situation. I think the focus has been a lot on Medvedev. Damien, do you think the hype around Sinner's cooled a bit since his Alcaraz loss?
Not really. Like, depends on what sort of hype we're talking about. Because if it was just like totally unjustified, like I didn't see that tweet myself, but someone on the stream told me here about how David Lowe, maybe it was, who tweeted about like Jannik, really like how disappointing will it be if Jannik doesn't win the Sunshine Double now and sort of go after that Djokovic, unbeaten record to start the year of 40 whatever matches. And I remember hearing that, as I said, I didn't really read that tweet, but someone here on the stream told me about it, and I was like, what the hell is that guy talking about? Like, that sort of hype maybe has cooled off, but like that was obviously just ridiculous, especially of the clay season incoming. However, all in all, I mean, he's still clearly been the best player of the season. Like, there's no doubt about it. I think a lot of the talk here is on Medvedev, because maybe somewhat similarly to the semifinals in in Indian Wells, it's a bigger match for Medvedev than it is for Sinner. And back then it was a bigger match for Alcaraz than it was for Sinner. Like, if Sinner wins like pretty comfortably here, it's going to be great. Of course, it's going to be yet another fantastic victory for him this season. However, it's not going to have that sort of like implications for him as it could for Medvedev if he manages to beat Sinner again after losing to him 4 straight times. Also, not having won a title yet, already lost to Sinner once this year. His best chance ever at defending a title, maybe. Like, there's just so much talk about Medvedev before this match, as it was with Indian Wells, where it was so much talk about Alcaraz. Because from Sinner, we at this point like kind of just demand constant excellence. I don't know if demand is the right word, but like we just expect it. And yeah, I mean, this year he's been delivering it basically every match he plays. Even if you try to think about matches where he was pretty close to losing, it's so hard to find something, because I don't know, Talon Griekspoor here, for example, the third round, right? He goes down a set, but he was always in control. Like, even when down a set, it never really felt like Talon had a big chance at ending that match. The break that he got at 5-all, it felt kind of, well, it wasn't, the momentum was like completely, disrupted from the rest of the set, because the rest of the set, Jannik was actually straight up the better player all the time. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's kind of natural that more talk is about Medvedev, but that's not because Jannik has dropped off.
Medvedev has hit another forehand long. He's done that a couple of times already this set. Saves that break point with an ace, though. Gets himself out of trouble by going up the tee with the ace. Yeah, I was talking about the Medvedev forehand. He's going big on it, but he's missing it now more than he's making it when he is trying to hit through it. He's now stepping up to serve here at deuce, goes out wide. Forehand from Sinner to the backhand of Medvedev inside out. Sinner's going to get that one back in place. Medvedev has to scoop it up at the net. So Jannik got the pass and he gets it. Forehand cross-court winner, passing shot. That was all based off a nice scramble from Jannik, sort of avoiding being wrong-footed too badly by Medvedev, who then leaves the door open for a Jannik passing shot. So Sinner's now got another chance to break early on in this match. So at the minute, Sinner's the one who's coming out swinging. Medvedev's going to be serving now, goes out wide, and he saves the break point again with an unreturnable serve. No, he hasn't. Yes, he has. Yes, because the scoreboard was way too slow to change. Kira, you were nodding along with Damien there. Do you have any kind of follow-up on what he's been saying?
Yeah, just on the point of Jannik Sinner, because I'd probably talk about Medvedev more coming into this match. As you say, it's sort of more important for him, the outcome of it. But on Jannik Sinner, I think I read an article from Mario, is it, for Popcorn Tennis?
Yep.
The last, I read it today, but I think it came out a couple of days ago, about that sort of sensationalism in tennis journalism, and all eyes on Jannik Sinner up until he loses one match to Carlos Alcaraz, and suddenly the narrative flips immediately to Carlos and how good he is, and we forget about Sinner. And I think it's just a really good point that Danielle Collins said something that really resonated with me yesterday about most weeks tennis players are losing. There's one winner every week of a tournament, so most people are losing every single week in tennis, and for Jannik to just lose once and suddenly everyone starts talking about Carlos all the time, I think is a shame, and something we need to sort of stop doing, perhaps.
Sinner showing how special he is, because that was a mega cross-court forehand, insane angle that Medvedev got a racket on, couldn't do anything with, and Sinner has now broken and forced the break early on in this match, and is already in control. By the way, yeah, absolutely. If you haven't read Mario's article for Popcorn, obviously his debut writing for that particular site, highly recommend you check it out. Again, one of those articles that makes you consider how you approach being a tennis fan. For sure. Mario's your ATP weekly co-host, Damien. Have you read it yet?
I haven't seen it. No. I was a bit out of the loop yesterday, the whole day. So if it came out yesterday, that's probably why.
Yeah, he's well, I'm not surprised. I mean, look, we're still hearing the impact of yesterday in your voice, Damien. So well, we'll get around to it at some point. Sinner's gone long with the forehand there. Love 15. Medvedev hopefully hoping for some kind of opening to get this set back on service terms. Anyway, there's tennis balls all over the court. The ball boys being a little bit lax there. But yeah, I completely agree. I think the hype that we give tennis players, I think what we as fans want is seeing who the most special one is. And when a tennis player loses, it reminds you that they're not indestructible. They're not the Avengers. And so what happens is that they lose their little bit of their shine. But the reality is that they lose far more often. Okay, maybe the top guys lose less often, but they still lose. Even the big three in their pomp, they were losing 6, 7, 8 matches a year. That's completely normal. Very rare for a player to lose less than that in a season. Sinner goes long under pressure from Medvedev here, who's definitely trying to up the game here and make this, stop Sinner from running away from the set too much, because otherwise 3-love is a potentially daunting task. So let's see if Jannik can get himself out of trouble here. I'm monologuing, but hey, we'll bring you the action as much as we possibly can. So we've got Sinner going for serve, then forehand wide up the line. They're still trading forehands at the minute, which is interesting. Sinner goes up the line with his forehand. Medvedev reaches it with the backhand from Sinner to the backhand of Medvedev. Now they're trading backhands. Medvedev's now going to go for the forehand to change direction. Sinner has put that into the net, and it's back points for Medvedev. Yes, I think Medvedev's really changing things up in this game. Let's see if he gets these break points opportunities straight off the bat. Might have a question for the tennis brain in the jar that is Damien following this, if Medvedev can break. Yes, I am borrowing that from the one and only John Silk. So Sinner's going to serve, goes for a body serve. That works. That's too good. 30-40, first break point saved. But yeah, I was going to, I think I'll ask the question whilst we're waiting to see if this other break point can be saved, so Damien can see what he can remember from the answer. But I'm wondering now if how many times Medvedev's had actually broken Sinner's serve in their battles over the last 6 months, was that 7-6, 7-6 Beijing match an exchange of breaks? I don't remember it too well. Sinner goes up the tee with the serve, forehand up the line to the forehand of Medvedev. Forehand Sinner now changing direction. Backhand Medvedev just clears the net. Backhand Sinner. Medvedev's going to reach his backhand, goes cross court, puts Sinner in a position to scramble. Medvedev tries to finish off with a forehand inside out. He goes for the finishing shot, puts it in the net, and it's deuce. Over to you, Damien.
In Beijing was definitely a 24-hold match, if you may, 7-6, 7-6, and no breaks. But the other ones, they did contain a few, I think, right? Vienna for sure. I mean, it was definitely like up and down. Maybe the ATP finals, actually. I don't think Daniil broke, right? That was probably the most lopsided match of theirs the last 6 months, despite going 3 sets. But like Medvedev just kind of stole the second one. And of course, at the Australian Open, there were a few breaks, but well, likely more in the first 2 sets rather than the next 3.
Yeah. I mean, what's is Medvedev? Is the case of Medvedev? Obviously, he's just gone wide with the backhand as it comes off the top of the net. But is Medvedev sort of trying to play a bit more aggressive, and that's getting him in this game, or is it that Sinner's giving him a little bit of an opening?
A little, as you look on especially where he's positioning himself on the court, just playing, trying at least to play pretty much glued to the baseline. That's not the most natural comfort zone for Daniil. So yeah, I would say he is trying to be a bit more active. Well, as we see, he couldn't take these break points, so it might not end up giving him the best result eventually, but yeah, I mean, it has been an attempt so far. I think he's playing it pretty similarly to the Indian Wells final. Just kind of knows that, if he falls back, Sinner now has the tools to punish that. Whereas maybe when they played here 12 months ago, he just didn't.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that development in Sinner's game has been kind of the key difference. I mean, Kira, what is it? Have you noticed anything obviously different about the way Sinner plays tennis compared to Miami 12 months ago when he played Medvedev in that final?
I mean, obviously, I think the serve is just so much better for me, and I think that's massive for him. Not only for me is the serve better in general, but I also think he uses it better on the big points, which I think I've said before. I think Sinner's somebody who now I rely on if he's a break point down or struggling in some way to hold a game. I sort of think he's often got something in his locker on serve that is that can get him out of trouble.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like people were, I think Sinner's kind of all-round game's been praised for a long time. I think I remember it was, I think some of the team went to Wimbledon and watched Sinner play, and the thing they noticed the most was Sinner's serve. And it always had the potential to be a big weapon, but he's somehow managed to find a way of actually making it effective. That would be the kind of insight I would have based on sort of hearing other people's observations. Damien, you're making faces at that comment.
No, absolutely not. Certainly, I mean, Darren Cahill and Simone Vanozzi got coach of the year last year, and that's partially why. Yeah, I mean, the serve in the Medvedev matchup specifically, it's like so such a big help, because basically it helps him avoid the longer rallies. It just helps him set up so many free points, which is always the question for him against Daniil. Like, I don't know, Rotterdam 2023, right? Their final. Sinner only really has 1 set in him of that sort of insane hitting that he was able, like that he had to produce in order to beat Medvedev. Now he's also stronger physically. So like, even if it goes into like a bit of a grind fest and, a lot of extended rallies, he's not necessarily going to be in trouble either. So yeah, I mean, on many levels, the improvements in Sinner's game sort of very naturally took him to a different level also when playing Daniil.
Yeah, and obviously he was playing Daniil during a period where he was having an insane streak. Medvedev only really lost to Alcaraz and Korda in the early part of 2023. Huge inside-out backhand from Medvedev, by the way, which he tried to finish with an overhead slice from Medvedev at the net, trying to defend, still just defending at the net, not able to put it away, and that just sets up the passing shot from Jannik Sinner to make it 15-all. But yeah, that was also. I'm wondering whether Medvedev's form during that part of the season had something to do with it. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on sort of the comment that Sean's bringing us as well, saying that Sinner maybe is trying to force the issue a little bit less, is a bit more confident with his hitting.
Oh, absolutely. Like I think we've said it many, many times that like what he's doing right now is actually repeatable because of that. Because like you don't see this guy going for like, you know, crazy shots, crazy winners. He's actually like very sustainable in how still he's hitting like pretty violently, if you may. And probably his best trait coming up, you know, 2018, 19, when he got as excited, especially with that Bergamo Challenger title at the very beginning. But later on, as he joined the main tour, and like in that year, of course, in 2019, he won the next gen finals and stuff. Like his main trait was just basically the fact that despite his physique, which is kind of lightweight, he was actually just able to like accelerate through the ball, you know, at will from any position on the court. The shot would have been insane. Just plays, you know, at such speed, and he kind of has. I want to say lost that, but he's just not tapping into that. He has other things to sort of be more reliable now. He has other tools to just, sustain his game, sustain his hitting a bit more. So obviously, I agree with that comment for sure.
Is that a similar sort of transformation that Iga Swiatek went through? If you compare her 2020-21 version to the 2022 and beyond version.
Not really. I mean, I think you guys a lot less of let's say, you know, controlled aggression type of player. Like she actually, well, she has a lot of spin, obviously, so her shots kind of feel safe maybe. But I think when sort of choosing her targets, she is more she's just more brave than Sinner is at the moment. The safety of her game probably comes from different aspects, I would say. That's an interesting point, though.
I was thinking more about some comments you've made before about Iga, or I don't know if it was you or someone else who's saying that, like, you know, the way Iga was playing before 2022 compared to after 2022 is the version and beyond is a lot more controlled than maybe before. Certainly less.
I would say more. It's more robotic. It's more of like, you know, she dropped the drop shot, for example, right? She basically sort of limited her game, or, you know, the coach, especially when Wiktorowski joined the team, they like sort of limited her game to a certain range of motions and tools she goes for. Whereas for Sinner, it's actually kind of the other way around, that he has more in his skill set now. But I see what you mean. I mean, but yeah, I would still say that when sort of choosing their targets, Iga is more aggressive about it. Even though maybe the safety of her game is, like, you know, can be similar, at least in some opportunities, some occasions.
Medvedev's making errors and he's currently shouting his box again. He's in frustrated Medvedev mode as his wife and his coach, they are two different people, are watching on slightly concerned, and break point number 2 is up for Jannik Sinner in this game. Is he going to have an opportunity here? Medvedev goes wide with the first serve. Sinner catches it as it kind of bounces off the backboard towards him. Second serve for Daniil Medvedev, who goes up the tee, forehand Sinner in play, backhand Medvedev. Sinner goes for the backhand cross court, backhand Medvedev up the line. Sinner has to run for it, puts the forehand running into the net, and it's deuce. Kira, do you want to tell us a little bit about any observations you've made of this game whilst Damien and I have been comparing Jannik Sinner and Iga Swiatek?
No, I love it. It's difficult to say. I think at the moment, for me, this is a little bit more about Medvedev making some errors than Sinner playing him off the court currently. But I think part of that might be because I don't think Medvedev would have come into this match expecting that early break or expecting to go down so early. I think he will have expected holds for quite a while, as we've seen previously in their matches, perhaps. So he just seems a little bit rattled, I think, more than anything at the moment, Medvedev, as we see as Sinner gets another break point here.
But Medvedev has yet again saved it with a heavy forehand that Sinner could barely reach the net with. To be honest, he's very much on the defense with that shot. Gets a racket on it, but you can see, like, there's no way he could swing through it. And that's another break point save. This feels like a critical game for the momentum of the match. Medvedev's going to serve out wide, gets the first serve in play, then follows up with back behind forehand to Sinner, who picks it off. Backhand Medvedev is wild. It's another break point for Jannik Sinner. And yeah, as Kira, you have said, that's Medvedev's errors defining that, because he probably could have put that one away. It was probably the right move to go back behind again, but was just way too wild with the shot. Let's see if Sinner finally gets this break point here, gets the return in play off the first serve. Backhand Sinner, backhand Medvedev going back to the backhand of Sinner. Cross court at the minute, still trading. Sinner goes up the line with that backhand. Medvedev just clears the forehand. Now Sinner's in control of this. He gets a short ball, runs up to it and puts it away. And there we go. Jannik Sinner's a double breakup. For love. Yeah, Medvedev possibly rattled, Damien.
I don't know if rattled. I mean, he's kind of, he came out with a certain attitude, approach. He's definitely trying to push himself. And so far, it's definitely not giving him great results either. So, yeah, I mean, the set is probably gone. That's all we can say. Of course, Sinner also won the first set 6-1 against Alcaraz in Indian Wells. It is going to be a different match, obviously. The tools that Alcaraz used to beat Sinner, throwing in the backhand slice to set up big forehands, the spin on the forehand as well. So they're mixing in more height a lot of the time. These tools are not exactly available for Medvedev. So, if he's going to win this one from probably a set down, he's going to have to go about it his way, put some sort of spin of his on this match.
Yeah, and thinking about spins of his, I mean, Kira, and then Damien, feel free to come off the back of Kira's answer here, but do you think maybe Medvedev defaulting to his usual game style might help him here?
It's possible. I mean, his usual game style has got him this far in this tournament. I think it's fair to say. And I think he's looked strong up till this point in the tournament, to the point where I backed him in this match, because I thought he's looked really good on the surface and he's done well. So you sort of think, that does he need to do what he does best, even if none of us understand it? Maybe he does. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there is a bit of an asterisk in that. Well, his draw has been very soft, but that's not really, his level was still okay. There was no real reason for us to think that Medvedev will not be competitive here. Well, for now, he's not. You're probably going to see it in a second, but the way he hit that last return as well was kind of, just out of sorts mentally as well. But we'll see. I mean, 0-5 down, obviously it is, very, very likely the end of set one. But there's still plenty of time for him to try to recover. And I would probably say that, right now he's going to have to try mixing it up in the second set. And that very well could be just relying more on his usual traits and trying to weather sort of the storm coming from Jannik, rather than necessarily being the one creating it. Because, as we've seen, his strokes technically are not exactly built for that. But on occasion, he's been pretty okay playing that way so far. Obviously, the score kind of tells you everything you need to know.
I mean, you've got that, and we are in this position now, and I do think you were absolutely right with that. Some of the returns Medvedev was hitting in that previous game of Sinner's serve showed a lack of patience, which is interesting, because so much of the reason why he's so good on return is the patience, standing a bit further back. So he does definitely need to adjust that. I mean, Kira, do you think we're going to see a bagel here?
No, I'm going to go with 6-1 here. I think, if anything, Medvedev's probably just got a little bit too much spite in him to allow to allow a bagel at this point. But who knows? He's certainly not. I think he's out of the set. I think it's fair to say, but it's whether he can reset in the similar way we saw Rybakina do yesterday to come into the second differently.
Matthew, when it comes to that, are you talking about in general, or are you talking about this match? Because, this match has only been 2 games, but I mean, one of the requirements for Medvedev to be beating Sinner right now is serving well, and Obviously, through 2 service games, he's won 5 out of 14 on first serve. So, I mean, yeah, that kind of tells you again the story of this match. There's been a few good quality 3 points. There was the breakpoint save, right? Maybe even 2 breakpoint saves in the first game. But yeah, I mean, that's also one of the issues that yeah, he's just not winning his service games easily at all, and he kind of needs to beat Jannik. Also, Sean was there with the comment about given how dominant Sinner has been on hard, I wonder if he'll have his best ever clay season. I think he will, because it's not exactly a bar that's placed very high at the moment. He's never had like a defining clay season, really. And he's had some fine achievements, around Garros quarters, right? He's had the semis in Monte Carlo last year, where I think he actually was pretty close to winning the title. He would have been the favorite over Rublev in the final. Yeah, he hasn't had like a full-on season when he is actually very solid on clay. So I would say that, yeah, in general, you're talking about, yeah, I mean, he is kind of in that boat with Zverev, right? Where they have huge serves, but they can't exactly like place them too well. Maybe part of that is also strategy. I think with Zverev, especially, he's like going for a high percentage instead of necessarily trying to hit his spots the most consistently. I mean, both are still like among the top 10, 15 servers on the planet easily to me. So I don't know if it's a massive issue, but they could be getting more out of their serves probably, especially Daniil.
Yeah, I actually think Medvedev's T serve is actually pretty spot on. Maybe he's out wide. He gives himself a little bit too much margin, but his T serve can be pretty spot on. I mean, that's that. I'm not necessarily the most technically minded when it comes to the game, but that's kind of my observation. Kira, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I do sort of think that his T serve does look really good, and he does sometimes hit that spot. I do think sometimes it's a bit off compared to other people who can hit that T serve, but it's just that it's such a strong serve that it doesn't really matter if it's directly on the line or a little bit to the side, because it's.
And I guess it also depends on who we're comparing it to, right? Are we comparing him to, are we comparing him to someone in the top sort of 80, 90, or are you comparing him to Djokovic and Sinner? It's kind of, it's about that, as Damien said, top 10, 15 servers on the planet still. So I think it's about, are we talking about him being good enough to be one of the best players in the world, or the difference between him and being the best player in the world?
I have a stat related to this, and actually it makes Medvedev look pretty good. Sort of going against the point that Matthew made, because when there was a graphic by Tennis Insights in February last month about the top 20 52-week averages and how their first serve accuracy matches up against their speed. So, for example, on serve, of course, and on that graph, you kind of have Hubert Hurkacz as most speed, most accuracy. Yes, that's obvious. You have Alex de Minaur sort of in the pretty low speed, zero accuracy almost. You've got Manarino as very low speed and just mediocre accuracy. But anyway, when it comes to Medvedev, he's like middle of the box on average first serve speed. However, when it comes to serve accuracy, out of the top 20, actually the only players that are higher than him, I believe, are Rublev, are Dimitrov, are Djokovic, and Hurkacz. So that actually kind of tells you that maybe this problem really isn't that big as it might seem. Zverev, for comparison, is a little further behind, let's say about 10th, 11th.
All right, we'll do set points. We've got set points here for Jannik Sinner to finish us off 6-1. I was going to ask if Medvedev's spike would cause him to get one of these breaks back, but potentially not, as Jannik Sinner is going to step up to serve here for the first set 1 lead in this Miami semi-final. This match has gone by much quicker than I expected, and it's unreturnable serve from Jannik Sinner, who gets the set 6-1. So there you go. You're up to date with the score. When you listed off those players, Rublev surprised me a little bit because I don't think of him as being a spot server, but when then I'm actually thinking about it and how he plays, it makes sense.
it also might make, let's say one of the aspects of this is that maybe the entire top 20 is like not really dominated by amazing servers at the moment. Although you've got like Fritz, Sinner, Jari, right? Djokovic, Hurkacz, yeah. So, it's not exactly like filled with poor servers either. But like someone like Ben Shelton, for example, his accuracy is one of the lowest, right? Despite having a huge serve. So, yeah, maybe it's just not Rublev's score or like Medvedev's score that are that good, but it's just a pretty big gap between Hurkacz and the rest, and actually Hurkacz, Djokovic, and the rest, because it's Hurkacz about 2 centimeters. Oh, because I didn't mention that, but like this average serve accuracy is measured with centimeters on average that you sort of miss the line, let's say, and Hurkacz basically has 52 about. Djokovic about 54 centimeters, and then 56 are like Dimitrov, Rublev. So there are like pretty, I don't know if it's big really in this comparison, but like there are gaps between the top 2 and the rest. So yeah, maybe we just don't really have a very good top 10, top 20 serve accuracy bunch currently. Like even if you have some big servers like Jari or Shelton, they're not that high here. So Jari is pretty high, like 6-7, but Shelton is one of the weakest in that. So maybe it's explainable with that too. But it doesn't seem like compared to most of the tour that is actually an issue for Medvedev now.
And actually, that's interesting. You're saying that, and I'm thinking about it. Actually, it's a very similar situation in the WTA at the minute. There's not too many, again, sort of super accurate servers in the top group there as well. Damien, you probably follow kind of the lower ranks, but are there any players that you're seeing on the Challenger Tour, or any sort of younger players coming through with kind of a bit more of a potential when it comes to serving accuracy, like your Menshiks, Fonsecas, or maybe another name that we haven't thought about?
I mean, obviously you have some insane serves, but are they actually that accurate? Like if I'm thinking of Jakub Menšik's serve, for example, which is huge, would he be very high in this group? I think he could. Like, of course we've said it, but a lot of things he does sort of similarly to Hurkacz. So, probably Menšik would be a solid answer for that, I would assume. It's tough to say with some of the sort of less speedy servers, because then you don't really pay attention to it, right? I mean, even if they are spot serving pretty well, then it's not doing that much damage. I would assume that Medvedev was also, pretty high in these things, but of course we don't really get the data. But now he's injured. But obviously, yeah, I think that maybe also him would be a solid answer. Someone like Striker, for example, would rather strike me as like lesser, maybe spot accuracy, lesser spot serving prowess. But this is just based on a little bit of a guessing game. So I can't really answer that with with just full confidence that it will be right. No.
It's about the eye test, isn't it? And the eye test is telling me for this match that this is Medvedev's definitely frustrated at the minute. Oh, it's a huge forehand from Sinner, insane angle. Medvedev puts his forehand into the net and again is shouting his box, and it's love 40, and suddenly it's looking like this match is really running away from Medvedev if Sinner can break here. So we're going to stick with this point. Let's see if Daniil Medvedev can get himself out of trouble, or if Sinner's going to go a breakup straight away in this set. Gets the backhand return to play. Medvedev can't do anything about it. He tried to run for it, but the ball kind of kicked over his racket. And Sinner's broken. 6-1, 1 love. Thought that would be a better start from Medvedev, but he's not really reset, has he, Kira?
No, I really was expecting him to as well, but he just still looks incredibly angry. It's not over, an early break certainly. Obviously, it was enough to get the momentum for Sinner in the first set. I'd be really shocked if this second set goes the same way, but you never know. Medvedev's going to have to find something really different to what he's doing right now.
Yeah, body language wise, he just looks completely lost.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna maintain, stay like this, but like he actually straight up like not caring about some of these shots, which is quite uncharacteristic, obviously. But he's never gonna defend that title, isn't he?
He's never going to defend any title.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying it's not just that he's never defended a title? He's never won the same title twice either.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. The same with Rublev, actually. But of course,
Yeah.
Rublev has like 15 maybe, and Medvedev has 20.
Yeah.
Medvedev played, I think, there were 3 events, I think, when he had the chance to defend the title, like straight up the year after. And there's like 6 or 7 events where he was, a finalist at least twice, and never won the same event twice. Yeah.
That is crazy. I don't know what it is about these Russian players. They can't seem to stay consistent in the same places. I mean,
Does
Rublev
Kachanov have the same title? Probably not, right? Because he's only won, Paris ATP 1000 and like 4 250s.
Yeah,
I would say probably not. Yeah.
Kachanov's trophy cabinet is not as big as Medvedev's.
I think last year he won Zhuhai, wasn't it? Because I think he has a Chengdu title as well, so that wouldn't count obviously. But there was also Chengdu last year, but I think that was his Zverev title. So yeah. I mean, 5 titles I think only for Karen. So only 6 titles. But I don't think he's defended one either.
No, I was just having a look. He hasn't.
Okay.
That's why Doha was this year. That's why I forgot. The things that have happened the most recently. That's why I didn't give him that 6th title. Yeah.
Rublev, yeah, it doesn't surprise me as much with Rublev because obviously his success has not been like as big tournaments as Medvedev has had. Most of his have been like 500 to 250s, and depending on the schedule, you're not necessarily going to play the same 500 or 250s every year. But Medvedev obviously has got opportunities to, given how good a hard court player is, you'd expect him to get a couple of titles in one of the Masters 1000s he's comfortable at. And he's still got time to do it, but it is probably a more surprising stat for
especially
Medvedev.
as like all the big titles, all the big events on hard courts. So the 6 ATP thousands, the 2 ATP, the 2 slams and the ATP finals. He's been in the final of every single one of these events. In fact, like Indian Wells, the one that he hasn't won out of the ATP thousands on hard, he's already played the finals twice as well, back-to-back years. ATP finals, he had a chance to defend the title the following year. So I mean, it is definitely quite crazy in that sense that he still hasn't done that because he's just winning every single title on hard courts, but just once.
Obviously, there's also the Australian Open as well, 3-time finalist.
Yep. What if it's Rome? What if it's Rome that he wins?
I love that.
just wrong. It's all wrong.
Daniil Medvedev, the Rome specialist.
I mean, people keep talking about Medvedev. How on earth has he had success with the technique he plays with? Double fault from Medvedev. That's not a good start. He's definitely frustrated. He's now shrugging like he doesn't care. His coach is definitely sort of looking a little bit perturbed. I can never remember his coach's name. Goes out wide with the first serve and manages to claim that point, 15-all. Medvedev is not technique-wise someone that you would copy. That's for sure.
There's got to be someone though. This is my thing. There's got to be some kids out there right now who just love him, right? And so I think in 10 years, 20 years, we're going to have a couple of little mini Medvedevs running around the tour. There's got to be.
It wouldn't surprise me. The question is how successful they would be, because obviously Medvedev has managed to make the most out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many people are going to going to be able to make the most out of it. I mean, look at the people like more extreme example of like Grigor Dimitrov being very similar in style to Roger Federer, and although he's had a very, very good career, he's not been able to have the same kind of level of success. Bit of an exaggeration because Roger Federer has 20 Grand Slam titles and Medvedev has 1. But, the copycats very rarely match the originals.
Yeah, no, I don't expect these, I'm going to go back to mini Medvedevs because I enjoyed that, but I don't expect the mini Medvedevs to do as well as he has with this style, but I do think we're surely bound to see some of them on the tour at least, even if they're not matching the success. I think there's got to be some people who like the game style. It's quite endearing in its way.
Oh yeah, it's very tenacious as well.
Mm.
Um,
I'm just
there's a
going to
question I was
disappear
going
to
to
plug my laptop in a second.
Okay, go for it. Yes, Mini Medvedev's running around tour. I mean, if he has any more kids, then that could be happening throughout his career. All right, so Medvedev's actually held, and that was actually a good hold from Medvedev to keep things close to Sinner. But I mean, Damien, I would imagine in this match, all Sinner has to do is just keep maintaining this level he's producing to get the job done.
Yeah, it's not particularly, at least for now, like it hasn't been that much of a challenge either for him to like maintain this. I think a lot of, whether we will see any fight here will obviously depend on Medvedev as well. And like, yeah, whether that body language, you can play great tennis with horrible body language. Like it happens all the time, right? But it just doesn't seem like yeah, when he's just swinging like this. Yeah, when he's swinging like this, he kind of just needs to get his ish together, and then maybe somehow start winning the holds. But at this point, my trust in Medvedev actually being competitive here is fully gone.
So not much. Kira, are you holding up any hope for a Medvedev comeback?
Honestly, normally I would, but I watch quite a lot of Medvedev, and I rarely see him look as despondent as this. To be honest, I don't think he, like you said, it's a bit rare for him to really kind of shut down in a match like this and look so lost, as Damien said. Thing is, if if he was playing, I come back to the spite thing as I always do with Daniil. If he was playing Zverev here, I'd be like, he's probably still got something left in him to have a little go at beating him. But against Jannik, I don't know if he'll find the same motivation.
I mean, the one comfort from this result for certain viewers might be maybe I'm thinking of you, Damien, specifically, that we might be avoiding a Medvedev-Zverev final. It's you who are not big. That matchup is not necessarily the best to watch.
Oh, we still have Zverev in the tournament. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the other semi-finals completely forgettable, clearly.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I forgot about that.
You're doing the other semi-final later, Damien.
Yeah, I know.
You know who's playing in it, right? Who's playing?
Yeah, Zverev and Dimitrov. No, I totally forgot because yesterday I wasn't able to watch any Miami. So, but yeah, I mean, I just wasn't thinking about it too much. I didn't realize that there was a possibility of a Medvedev-Zverev match. To be honest, have they ever played in a final? Like, I just feel like it's been a long time since I've seen them play in a final. So I never really considered
2021 ATP Finals. 2021.
Oh yeah, the ATP Finals. Yeah. I mentioned that earlier. That Medvedev had a chance to defend the ATP Finals, right? And that was, of course, part of it. But yeah, because they haven't played in a final in forever, and they played earlier in Paris as well and Shanghai. But yeah, because they haven't played in a final in forever, I just don't really treat it as a possibility, that we're gonna get that beautiful, horrible matchup in the final. So I wasn't thinking about it, but yeah, of course I know who's in the second semifinal. So in the second semifinal, and if Sinner wins here, I'm not gonna have to sort of root for a certain player's victory because I will, that possibility of Medvedev-Zverev will be gone.
Yeah, there we go. Well, it has to be said, Sinner might give some trouble here because they've just had a very, very long rally, probably the best rally Medvedev's played for some time, that ended with Sinner missing, trying to go up the line with the forehand and narrowly missing the tram line. Nell, I have seen your question, but I am not. But I'm focusing on the actual match right now, but I'll come back to it. Inside forehand from Medvedev, which actually yields a bit of an error from Sinner, just forces it. It's 30-40, break point. So we've got possibility of this set being competitive after having literally just written it off. Medvedev suddenly sort of stabilized. He's looking zoned in and focused. So we're going to bring you the action here. Can that Daniil Medvedev get back on serve in this second set and make this as tight as we were hoping? it was going to be. Sinner obviously winning that 6-1 set against Alcaraz in the semi-final of Indian Wells, and then not able to capitalize after a tight second set. Huge forehand up the line from Sinner, which Medvedev is forced error from, ends up in the tram line. Sinner saves that break point. Deuce. Nurlan, the answer to your question is, I don't drink energy drinks. Sorry. I think I've had one my whole life, and I hated the experience.
I've had none, so I can beat you
I've never had one.
on that. Yeah.
There we go. I mean, look, I think the one time I had that energy drink was at university, and I think as I got it for free, I was given it to like in a welcome box by the uni. I thought I'll just try it. It was horrific. I didn't want to do that
The
again.
university gives you energy drinks.
That's a terrible
interesting.
welcome box.
Yeah. They're just expecting you to like be up all night learning, maybe, but yeah, no.
I mean, Kira, you're a university student. You've done pretty well.
Yeah, no, I think in our welcome box we just got vouchers for Domino's Pizza, so ours was slightly on the other end of the spectrum.
I think that
not expecting us to do much working.
I think that might have been better.
Yeah, I was quite happy with those, to be fair.
But Domino's were pretty happy with those as well. There we go. Sinner's managed to hold, by the way, 3-1. Schwarner giving us a stat that Medvedev's fastest loss in the last 52 weeks was in 67 minutes. I'm not sure that's going to be repeated. Some kind of bird of prey that's in the crowd. They're at 50 minutes, so like Medvedev has to lose in the next 17 minutes to within the next 17 minutes to get as he has struggles defending at the net from Sinner. I wasn't entirely sure what happened there, but I think it came off his body rather than the racket. What do we think? Do you think Medvedev potentially loses in the next 17 minutes? Oh, he's double hit with his racket. That's what's going on.
After watching the next point, I'm leaning towards a yes.
Okay. Actually, Schwarner, who was that player that
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
77. Oh, Schwarner's correct himself to 77 minutes. Was that Alcaraz? Maybe
Rune Monte Carlo, I would say, because Alcaraz is not in 52 weeks anymore.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So I would say probably Rune Monte Carlo, because that was when Medvedev was so tired. Or my other option is Korda Shanghai. Wasn't that a straight set win? Or
it was Holger Rune according to Schwarner.
It was Rune. Okay, yeah. I was thinking between Rune and Korda. Basically, I think these were the only real options. Of course, yeah, Alcaraz, as you mentioned, that also sort of. I had it.
I forgot it was more than 52 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was. And that one, by the way, was. Let me see how long. Because I'm assuming that you might be right that it was probably shorter than that. Oh, actually, no, it was. Oh no, that's this final. Sorry, this final was
huge inside out forehand from Jannik Sinner set up break points. What was that, Damien?
70 minutes.
70 minutes. Okay, yeah, so shorter, but no longer relevant because it's not in the last 52 weeks. This might be a beatdown. This could very much be a beatdown. There was 2 break points for Jannik Sinner. Medvedev gets the backhand in play. The backhand of Sinner cross court. They're trading backhands again. Sinner goes up the middle of the court to the Medvedev backhand, runs around to hit it. Still trading backhands. These two players going toe-to-toe on the backhand. Medvedev goes on the inside-out backhand, and it's game Sinner because that's gone wide from Medvedev, and Sinner's got the double break, 6-1, 4-1. I don't think anyone was expecting a beatdown like this, right, Kira?
Oh, well, I certainly wasn't. No, it's quite disappointing to watch. And like we've said previously, I still don't think Jannik Sinner is having to bring any particularly brilliant level at the moment to do this. I think this is far more Medvedev's errors that's put him in this position, really.
Well, Daniil's making his life a lot harder here. And tell you what, though, it's a testament that we're talking more about Medvedev on this commentary than we are about Sinner. I mean, look, it's looking set that Sinner's going to be in the final. I'll have Kira answer this question first, and then you can, Damien. Who do you think is the most interesting opponent for Sinner out of the other 2 semi-finalists, Zverev or Dimitrov?
If Dimitrov can play like he did last night for the rest of the tournament, then I'm going Dimitrov is more interesting to me. I also just find Dimitrov's game probably in general more interesting to watch as a personal. That's probably more personal preference than anything, but I find his game more interesting, more compelling to watch than Zverev's. So I'd love to see a Dimitrov that played so well last night. I'd love to see that Dimitrov play Sinner.
That would be quite a dynamic match for sure. I'm assuming you have the same view, Damien. Dimitrov Sinner would be a more interesting match than Dimitrov Zverev. Obviously, it depends on your definition of interesting.
No, I would probably lean towards a Dimitrov win in that. Well, it's a bigger story for him to try to go for an ATP 1000 after all these years. I did sort of in the Paris final. I remember thinking he might have a shot at Novak because Novak played for 9 hours the past 3 days. Well, as it turned out, obviously Grigor didn't really, wasn't able to keep it competitive. It was maybe Novak's best match of the week as well. But yeah, I think Grigor being in the final would be bigger. For Zverev, I think, he's won a lot of these. I'm not really too invested in his campaign to go for another ATP 1000. If it was a slam, maybe my answer would be different. Maybe there I would be like, okay, so yeah, both players will be very interesting in the final, I think. But here, it's clearly Grigor who would be the better story, I think. So I would say that. As for the quality of the match, probably Zverev would bring the better one. Like maybe he's more of a guarantee of a better match. But I mean, if Dimitrov doesn't really drop off in the final like he did in Paris, for example, why not? And yeah, he would be very fun to watch against Sinner. I actually don't know what their head-to-head is, but I don't remember them playing too recently, at least. So, it will be something. Well, Beijing last year and Miami, but that... actually, yeah, Miami last year, they also played. Wow. I only remember that Rome match in 2020. So yeah, Miami last year, they also played. So... maybe a bit of a fun twist to it. Oh, and of course, the most recent match is actually very famous. It's the puking on the court. So what am I talking about? Yeah.
Was that who Sinner was playing? Dimitrov?
Yeah, it was Dimitrov. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
No one remembers the opponent. No one remembers the opponent.
I do remember the opponent clearly, although I didn't remember the match.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure if I was Jannik Sinner, I'd probably only remember being sick.
We all talk about post-puke Sinner, but nobody talks about during puke Sinner. That's relevant. It's only.
It's not a pleasant topic, You just
yeah, I can see why we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Matthew saying that Sinner versus Zverev at the US Open was a battle, but of course Sinner's a very different animal. And certainly Sinner's got another matchup to turn around with Zverev.
It was a very good match still, but certainly it feels like Jannik has raised his game tenfold since,
By the way, do you want to comment on Nerland's question asking you about the differences between Djokovic and Sinner?
What does Novak do right now that is better than Sinner? And at the moment, probably nothing. Well, serve still, I would say. But at the moment, probably not much. But, the sort of ball machine that Djokovic was back in the day, I'm not sure that Jannik is there or will ever really get there. However, yeah, this level that Sinner has been displaying since Beijing, more or less, since puking, I think it is absolutely lots of Grand Slams worthy. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're comparing Sinner to Djokovic now, yeah. Not much Djokovic is better. If you talk about Sinner versus Djokovic 10 years ago, very different story. But
it's not that different. It's really hard to just point to something that Djokovic is obviously better at. It's not the same play style either, but Sinner is sort of getting into that mode a little bit more these days. Just putting in some Djokovic performances, which this one honestly is one of them too.
Sinner's now one game away from winning winning this match. I mean, I was going to say during our conversation, I was in a pretty good rally going on where there was some fantastic forehand trading before Medvedev's forehand was the one that broke down and ended up in the net, which was very interesting. very, very interesting. I find that Medvedev is the one breaking down in that scenario. Medvedev's out wide with the backhand to the line from Medvedev, since having to run down. Medvedev's going to come in. Oh my word! Completely miscues the swing volley. 15-all. Sinner's now 3 points away from the title. I have seen Sean's question. I think given the way this match is going, I think we should talk about it after this game, depending on how it goes. But we will come to it. I promise, Sean. Matthew, I don't know what that bird is. Huge serve from Medvedev, and then tries to follow up with a +1 backhand, goes long, and it's 15-30. 2 points now for Jannik Sinner to deliver the ultimate beatdown on Daniil Medvedev.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, we're talking about like the most embarrassing defeat of Medvedev's career. One of them.
I mean, embarrassing. Yeah, he really hasn't brought the level.
He will be embarrassed with this. He will be. Like, I'm not I know this is maybe like a bit of an aggressive wording or something like that, but no, I mean, he will be embarrassed after he exits the court today.
Unreturnable serve from Medvedev, 30-all, just trying to delay things a bit more, trying to raise the inner spite that he knows can be raised from within him. The bile, what's he going to put in this serve now? Goes out wide, too good, ace, 40-30. There's that serve. There's the serve that Medvedev has gotten through Medvedev through a lot of matches in his career, and he's got himself in a position to, it's his third ace in the match. 1 hour on the clock. He's got 7 minutes before, 17 minutes before he's safely beyond the 52 record of quickest defeat, which would also be reinforce Medvedev's Damien's statement about it being embarrassing. It only goes inside out the forehand, backhand cross court from Medvedev on the run is into the net. Deuce. Sinner's back to within 2 points of this match.
I'm just glancing at like some Medvedev losses from the past, and I mean, it's very hard to find something that is comparable, to sort of get demolished like this. I have to say that there are a couple of losses recently we maybe were mentioning a lot when it comes to that sort of discussion. For example, we had that match against Alcaraz in Indian Wells, right? Which at the time it seemed to us like, what a demolition, and we just mentioned as this extremely lopsided match. But like now comparing it, not really. And it's a similar story with Halle as well against Hurkacz, right? Which was such a no-show as well. And then Hurkacz playing like probably one of the best matches of his career. But this is like at least comparable to these matches.
Medvedev's got a game point here, which he goes for the backhand to Sinner, backhand Medvedev cross court, trading backhand. Sinner goes up the line with that backhand. That's a beauty. Hits the spot, and it's a winner. Deuce.
Shot of the match. I also have to say, not necessarily about this point, but there was one a couple of games ago, and then I forgot about it. But like even in terms of agility, Medvedev isn't exactly looking that amazing today. There was it was that break point that he had in the fourth game of the second set, and Sinner goes behind his back, like Medvedev changing directions, looked very sluggish. Again, that might be just his focus. Like it just might be the fact that he's out of this match mentally, and he's just unable to really be as mobile as usual either. So I'm not saying that this is like a physical, injury or anything, but yeah.
No, just you can be just sluggish sometimes and not necessarily be injured. Medvedev actually draws a forehand shank from Sinner as they go cross court to cross court on the forehand, and Medvedev now has another game point to put this away, and does with an unreturnable serve. 5-2. The changing ends. Okay, we've got some really, really good questions coming in from the chat. So we're going to go to Sean's first because obviously he got there first, but I do like Matthew. No, Joe, we'll go Matthew's question first because I think that's relevant to what we're talking about. We will come back to yours, Sean. Will this be as damaging to Medvedev as the Australian Open loss to Nadal? I'll let Kira tackle this one first, and then we'll hear from you, Damien, on the same question.
Difficult to tell. Depends on a lot of things. I think, Medvedev's attitude, obviously, at the moment, towards the end of this match, especially, he's getting more and more frustrated. He's looking, as Damien said, sluggish and not really competitive at all. It might look damaging because obviously we're coming into the clay season where will he be as good on clay as he is on a hard court. As a self-professed hard court specialist, probably not. So it could feel like his form takes a downturn after this just because of the change of surface. I don't think it will be as damaging as you know, an Australian Open final loss to lose this in the semi. I don't know.
Yeah, damaging in terms of how he'll be feeling after his performance, I don't think so at all. Because yeah, I mean, if you lose a Grand Slam title and you were so close and you kind of you blew it in a way, yeah, I mean that's gonna be more damaging. In terms of like his future, let's say 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, I think it's actually maybe a little more damaging in how it will sort of make that Sinner Medvedev rivalry keep going from here, because that's going to leave a scar for the next matches. So it's kind of why I said in Indian Wells that like Alcaraz Sinner was more important for Carlos, because he needed to show that he can be competitive against Jannik, and that's kind of the same thing against Daniil. And that only really tells you that like these players, like the top 4 of the world, Medvedev, Alcaraz, they need to prove to us again that they can be competitive against this version of Sinner, and to themselves too. And not doing that will be damaging, but I don't think it will be something that Daniil will like leave the match thinking of, or even wake up tomorrow morning thinking of. Whereas I'm pretty sure that if you lose a Grand Slam final from 2 sets to love up, have the chances that Medvedev had to win it, you probably can't sleep the next 3 days. So
yeah. Which, remind me, I think we were talking about it earlier, but which her catch losses do you want to talk about here? It was during when we were talking about quick losses.
Halle final.
2022.
The one that Gilles Servara left the court.
It was that match.
Yeah.
That was Halle 2022, right?
The one Hurkacz won, which would be 22, yeah.
Yeah, because that was the year Medvedev really went off the boil after that Australian Open match, which we were talking about before. Since lost the first point in this game as he's trying to serve this match out of 5-2. Medvedev goes up line with that forehand, puts Sinner on the defense. Backhand now back behind Medvedev, and Sinner, the error is force of the backhand. Hold on, people. Hold on. This match might keep going. This match might be keeping on going. Medvedev's a couple of points away from getting a break on Sinner's serve, which he's had opportunities to break earlier in the match, but he's not capitalized. I think he has missed 4 breakpoint chances on Sinner's serve this match. I don't have the stats in front of me. So we'll see how this game kind of progresses here. We've got Love 30 on the Sinner serve. He's stepping up, trying to get the job done here against Daniil Medvedev, and goes up the tee with a serve, but looks like it clips the net. So he's going to have to reset and do a first serve again. So here we go. Gets ready. Obviously, you can see Lacoste crocodiles everywhere, not just on Medvedev's shirt, but also on the walls of the court. Goes in first serve into the net. So second serve for Sinner under a little bit of pressure now. Let's see if he can get something on the board here. So Jannik Sinner goes body serve, backhand Medvedev, forehand inside out from Sinner, running back for the baseline. Now he's getting ready to cover that off. Tries to go back behind Medvedev with the backhand. Now they're trading to the Medvedev backhand wing. Sinner still going to that direction at the minute. Now backhand again from Sinner to the Medvedev backhand. It's just staying at the minute. Now Medvedev changes direction, goes up the line. Sinner's having to defend with the forehand. Medvedev's coming in behind that backhand. Goes for the drop shot, puts it in the net. 15-30, he's frustrated. He had that there. He tried to go for the clever drop shot from that position, and it didn't work. But his coach is encouraging him on. Still got an opportunity to serve a break point. Does Daniil Medvedev here in Miami? I say here in Miami. None of us are in Miami. We wish we were in Miami, but that's beside the point right now. We see Sinner's team sort of sitting back, a little bit tense. You can see Darren Cahill trying not to show it, but wanting to see their man close it out. Huge first serve, but goes too wide. Not by much, but he was going for the crazy angle out wide. So it's a second serve again for Jannik Sinner, who goes up the tee this time. Forehand from Medvedev. Forehand Sinner inside out, back behind. Now he's going to come in behind that ball. Going to put the volley up the back for the backhand. Then finishes it with that. Wasn't really an overhead. It was sort of face height, but he just sort of slaps it into the court away from Medvedev, and it's 30 all. Yeah, a couple of good points there from Sinner, Kira.
Yeah, even at Love 30, to be honest, I didn't have very much faith in Medvedev at this point. I do think it's just it's partly how he's playing today, but it's also a confidence thing. I don't think he's going to feel able to take any chance that he gets at this point, which I say with a heavy heart. But I didn't really believe in him to get a breakpoint chance there, to be honest.
How much do we believe in Jannik to get the job done? His first serve has dropped off in this game. He's trying to serve it out. We've got 30 all on the board. Second serve for Jannik Sinner. He goes up the tee again. Really short. Backhand from Medvedev. Forehand Sinner up the line. Backhand Medvedev cross court. Backhand Sinner cross court. Backhand Medvedev. Still trading in the backhand wings from both. Still going that direction at the minute. No one's making the change up. Let's see who does it first. Still going backhand to backhand. Still going backhand to backhand. No one's changing the direction yet. Going into a backhand rally with Medvedev is like asking for a long rally. This time, Sinner changed direction with the backhand up the line. Medvedev goes along with a forehand, and it is now Jannik Sinner who will have a match point 40-30 to complete the Daniil Medvedev beatdown. He's got to serve in the next 20 seconds or so. I really hope he does, because otherwise my voice might give out, but we'll keep going here. So
you got this. You got this.
You've got this. We've got this. So we've got Daniil Medvedev, Jannik Sinner stepping up here. I can't see the time on the clock. This is obviously a race against time to give Medvedev his most humiliating defeat for a while. Backhand and play from Medvedev. Inside out forehand from Sinner, who's going to come in behind. Medvedev scrambles the backhand out of the tram lines, and it's game Sinner in 69 minutes. Nice. Yeah. Do you want to? Yeah. Any thought? There we go. And Sinner's through comfortably. Damien, your thoughts? Was that a Medvedev? Was that mostly Medvedev meltdown, or was that Sinner being sensational?
Sinner was definitely pretty okay, but he's kind of mastered this being sensational without actually sort of being flashy mode the past 6 months or so. I think that was mostly it. He was a lot more mobile and agile as well than Medvedev 2 today, which is a bit weird maybe, but like he was doing very well on the defense to lessen the margins for Daniil when he was trying to attack. I like that there was a bit of that intent at the very beginning, especially for Medvedev to like be more aggressive, stick to the baseline and try to attack Sinner, but it was so misguided today. I don't know. He seemed to lose belief in it as well very quickly. Obviously, it's going to raise your error count a little bit more. Without a strong serving performance to like really fall back on, it's probably not worth much anyway. But I don't know. The way that he was so frustrated, negative, and we are talking about Daniil Medvedev. Of course, he has his range of outbursts on the court. I don't want to play here on the surface and stuff. This isn't hard court. But I was still a bit new to him. Like that level of just throwing away balls sometimes. I think Ghosty said it best in the comments. What an absolute match. And yeah, it really was. Like it did not deliver. It was just a beat down. Right now, Sinner is just 5-6 in that head-to-head after being exactly 12 months ago, 0-6. And we just maybe sort of got confirmation of something that we didn't think was going to be the case, because a lot of us were thinking that Medvedev has a great shot today, that he's not going to be losing to Sinner time and time again, that he is a master tactician, he will have something up his sleeve. I think both in Nick, I think your prediction, right, on Twitter was like 2 sets Medvedev or something, which isn't even ridiculous. It wasn't something that people would consider ridiculous. And basically right now we sort of, maybe because of that sensationalism, which we also talked about, right now it seems like this matchup will be a major pain in the ass for Daniil going forwards. Losing to Sinner on hard court this way, yeah, it's rough. I really don't know how he's going to recover for the next time they play.
Kira, do you want to comment on any of that? Your thoughts on that match?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just feels like a bit of a shock, even though I suppose on paper, like you say, it shouldn't be a shock. He's won the last 4, but if you've watched those 4 matches, I think this one would come as a shock, because it's a completely different match today. It felt different. I feel like if there's one thing that I count on Medvedev to do in practically every match, is at least get to the ball. Even if he doesn't play it well, he's going to get there and he's going to have a swing at it, right? And today it felt like Damien said, the athleticism wasn't there. He wasn't there in the defense. He wasn't able to even get to balls that Jannik was putting past him. And that just feels like a step up, not necessarily in Jannik's level today, even though he was very solid, played well, but more of a step up in just how far away they seem to be from each other today. But a really solid performance from Jannik, not taking anything away from him. He played well, he did what he had to do, and he gets himself into the final, which is well deserved this week.
The way he's been playing, yeah. I mean, that kind of brings us, and I want to pick up some of the points of, Damien, you made about Sinner kind of just making sensational normal, and like we're finally going to cover Sean's question from about 15 minutes ago. Is it typical of a player to improve this much in 6 months?
Obviously not. And it's very rare for that improvement to be so clear too, which is, I keep mentioning this for some reason, but I don't know, it comes up every single stream. But the Coach of the Year award that they got for Sinner, like it was one of the very few examples when we like can see an impact of someone and of that player, of course, working hard too, so clearly. Like it's rare that this change is so drastic. Now, that's not to say that Sinner hasn't been improving year by year, sort of. And of course, there was that point when he like fell off to like 16, 17 in the rankings. It was clearly too low. It was clearly too low. And yeah, it's not like it came out of nowhere. He basically, since breaking through to the tour, he was a very stable part and clearly like still had places to go, still had levels to rise up to. However, yeah, how quickly he did it, how sort of he just became a dominator basically in one match after that puking thing. Again, we also have to keep mentioning that all the time. But I mean, that's of course very rare. And I will also say that while the time of the Alcaraz loss at Indian Wells for Daniil was similar, 70 minutes, it's very different in that in Indian Wells, no one was expecting much from him. He was in a matchup where, well, he's never done well. He was on a court that he doesn't enjoy. Here, it's very different because Miami over the years, obviously, it's been a strong event for him. I think the last 4 years, he makes at least the quarterfinals, obviously wins it last year. So that's the main difference to me here.
Yeah, I can't really add anything off the back of that, to be honest. I think I think we have seen a sudden jump in quality from a player in the past, but it's very, very rare. And it's certainly what Sinner's produced is incredible. Tell you what, we've let Damien have a go at that. Let's have a you can have a crack at this one, Kira. From Matthew, our opponent's only hope is getting Sinner on a slow court.
Just a really quick word on that Sean question before I go to this
go for it. Yeah, do whatever question you want.
Only because I think Sinner's rise has been pretty exceptional, and I think we all know that. What I would also say is maybe a bit different about it is I think sometimes you might see players make quite a big jump from, say, top 100 to top 50, and they could make quite a big jump in quality in their game to get there maybe in a short amount of time. But I think the difference with Jannik Sinner is that he's jumped from solid top 20, outskirts top 10 to right now the best player in the world in 6 months or whatever time period you want to put on that. So I think that's maybe partly why this one feels so impressive, because the jump isn't just from 70th to top 30, but it's to the best player in the world currently. So I think that's part of that.
Yeah, and I will have to say, and once again, I will mention the ATP Awards. Jannik Sinner won Most Improved Player of the Year as well. And some people thought it was ridiculous because he only jumped from 16 to 4. But I think you're very right that 16 to 4 can be a bigger jump than what Shelton, than what Arnaldi, so the other guys nominated there, did. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, let's face it, you see this in life, it's also in tennis. The next step is always harder than the previous one. So we can talk about him jumping fewer places, but the gap, we see it time and again. The gap between number 1 and number 16 is almost as big as between 16 and 54. You know,
absolutely. This is that's the difference that I think is so important. And for us to even, I don't know, 6 months ago, if you told me that I'd be sat here now saying I think Jannik Sinner is currently right now better than Novak Djokovic, I'd think that was insane. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's like Damien said, the award was well chosen.
Which brings us back to, I guess, Matthew's question is that, like, we're talking about Sinner's being the best player in the world. Is his best hope, are his opponent's best hope getting him on a slow court? I mean, judging by Rotterdam and Indian Wells, no, because he won Rotterdam and only Alcaraz stopped him in Indian Wells. Clay is different to a slow hard court, but if we're talking about slow speed generally, for me, that's not necessarily going to be the game changer.
Yeah, I mean, slow indoor hard court, he was always really good at. Like when he was maybe getting onto the tour, well, of course, the big one was the Next Gen Finals, but after that, he had that perfect record in Sofia, for example. I remember for a long while there were talks about, how Sinner, maybe if there was an indoor slam, he would win it, and how these slower indoor hard courts actually are some of the best conditions for his game. So yeah, in that sense, not really, but clay courts is still a bit of a, well, at least there's some doubt, right? Whether he's going to be able to maintain this. As I said, he's had some results on occasion. He will probably put in his best clay season yet, because that's also not that high a bar compared to his current ability. But yeah, I mean, for me, for example, like we said earlier, one of you, I can't remember who, but said that about that sensationalism and how like every single narrative is about Alcaraz suddenly after Indian Wells. More narratives, well, maybe not more narratives, but like going into the clay season, if Alcaraz is still your number one guy, I don't think that's wrong. But that's mostly because we're going into the clay season. So I would say that there is still a lot to, well, I don't know if to prove, but there's still sort of a bit of uncertainty whether Sinner will be able to win big titles on clay. I don't think he will be dominating the tour as much as he is right now. But yeah, I mean, I do expect him still to maintain that form, at least to an extent, and to be a very important part of the clay season, yes.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think we've not seen this Jannik Sinner on clay, right? So really, in a way, none of us really know what this Jannik Sinner, this new, improved 6 months, whatever Jannik Sinner is going to do on clay. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be interesting. I agree that I think whatever happens, he'll be a factor. It's just how big of a factor he's going to be on clay. But he's also someone who seems to still, to me, be on this trajectory of improvement rather than he's improved and now he's staying at this level. I think he still seems to be getting better. So if he can adapt quickly on clay, especially, and he can find where he needs to adapt his game, then I don't think it's impossible for him to have a very good clay season.
To reference Mario's article that we talked about at the beginning of the stream about sort of how we talk about players and how they're doing, is this comment from Ghosty an overreaction?
Not really. I mean, right now we are arriving at a stage where we might imagine, I don't know, either Sinner and Alcaraz dominating the tour together, maybe one of them dominating the tour. A la Big Three, it doesn't really need to be that prolonged. It doesn't need to be 20 slam titles. At least that's what I think Ghosty means. But I don't know. If for the next 5 years, Sinner, let's say Sinner and Alcaraz, let's give them both a chance, dominate the tour a la the Big Three did, would it be surprising? I don't think so. There's a bit of a lack of contenders, and we've said it many times that the top four right now is like very much separated from the rest. However, Djokovic is, I mean, we'll see what his future is. We don't know what it holds for him. I'm still sort of not ready to say that he's washed or that he's, declined to a point where he can't anything big anymore. It just hasn't been enough time since he actually did ATP finals, for example, that these phenomenal back-to-back performances against Sinner and Alcaraz. But like, if Djokovic is going to go out, I don't know, in a year, if Medvedev is unable to beat Sinner, unable to beat Alcaraz, then who really is there to stop them from achieving that sort of domination?
Yeah, I think you're right in that it wouldn't be surprising. But once again, it's one of those where we can say this now, and then the tennis landscape in a year's time, somehow, and we don't know how, could look completely different. If somebody else has this meteoric rise that Sinner has obviously had recently, it feels like, as we talked about with Mari's article a couple of times, that sensationalism. But I don't think that's always such a bad thing. Obviously, we're all going to have predictions. We're all going to say things that we think are going to happen, and it's right now the sort of sensible thing to say in a way is that Sinner and Alcaraz will be dominating for a little while to come.
Yeah, and the question from Ghosty, basically what I was trying to say is that it's fair to ask it right now. It's probably been fair to ask it for about a month or two already. Maybe since Jannik won the Australian Open. Maybe since he shows that he can also back it up in Rotterdam. But yeah, it's been a very fair question the past couple of months for sure.
It is a fair question. I think and I think the trajectory suggests that. I agree with you, Damien. It's probably not going to be super prolonged. We can't expect it to be prolonged in the same way. It's the same thing. I think it's the same sort of situation of when John was asking after Carlos Alcaraz won Wimbledon. How many slams is Carlos Alcaraz going to win? Is it going to be more or less than 10? And I was like, well, hang on, there's not enough data to kind of suggest that it's going to be that prolonged and he's going to be that successful in such a short period of time. He's going to get that high.
You gotta have the belief. Have the belief.
Sinner,
I haven't had it with Sinner always. I have to say, I had my drop-offs, but Alcaraz, since the first time seeing him play, I've never lost it. So at least I have that. But with Sinner, I do have to hide my head in shame a little bit.
I'm just glad to be proven right, because I've been a Sinner defender. Like, no, he's in this league. He is in the league. He's in the same league. He can be. Yeah, I think it's going to be up those two, because I'm fully expecting. I mean, like Alcaraz showed it in Indian Wells. I think he'll be able to show it on other surfaces other than slow hard. He's going to have an advantage over Jannik on clay. Alcaraz is going to come back into the picture and start winning again. I'm certainly not writing him off at all in being a factor in this. Right, well, there you go. As Shauna said, that was an unexpectedly short match, shorter than the third set between Rybakina and Azarenka, which I wouldn't know. I was only there for like 5 minutes. But I will. I think it's probably about time to wrap this one up. I think we've kind of covered everything to do with Jannik Sinner, where Medvedev's at. I guess, Kira, do you have any final thoughts on sort of this matchup?
Only that it was a profound disappointment, really. No, it is difficult, isn't it? It doesn't bode well for this matchup to come in the way that I was sort of hoping it would. I sort of thought, to have Medvedev win so many and then Jannik win so many, and then you sort of want that to turn into a real fierce rivalry, but it doesn't seem to suggest that at the moment. It seems like Jannik's got the edge. But it'll be interesting to see whether he can keep that up. It's only been like 6 months, like we said, with him post-puke. How long can he ride that wave? No, I don't actually think that. But I do think it's all a bit early to be predicting so much in the future.
I mean, can we at least make the short-term prediction that he's kind of the overwhelming favourite for the title in Miami?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Damien, I'll come to you then. Final word on this match, and I'd love to, because you're obviously doing comms with Tom for the semi-final. The other semi-finals are starting in a couple of hours' time between Zverev and Dimitrov to decide Sinner's opponent. So yeah, tell us about any final thoughts that you think would like to cover before we wrap up this match, and thoughts ahead of that semi-final.
I mean, I think I've said it before. Everything that I wanted really about this one. Not that much to talk about, I guess, in terms of the actual match, but the narratives, we've covered it. Zverev Dimitrov, yeah, you guys obviously are all invited to the stream that I'm going to be doing with Tom at midnight my time at Miami. Of course, it's like 7 p.m. And that's going to be the second semifinal on the men's side. I am kind of excited, but at the same time, over the years, Zverev has been a tough opponent for Dimitrov, sort of much like Medvedev has been in a similar manner. Let's see. I like that version of Grigor these days. You know, the mature guy who also like knows how to maybe slow it down a little bit more, neutralize the points with the slices, rely on his athleticism, flexibility. You know, that guy is definitely a more just more complete player than before. So maybe he can actually throw in something different. Last week against, or 2 weeks ago in Indian Wells against Medvedev, I was not too pleased with his performance in a similar sort of match where you're entering it and okay, like level wise, probably he can do it, but can he actually pull it off in a tough matchup? And back then he couldn't. Maybe this time it will be different, and let's see if he follows up the Alcaraz performance, which apparently, from what I'm hearing, because I didn't watch it, was quite phenomenal.
Yeah, I commentated on that one. It was phenomenal. I think Jerome and I were just in awe of the shots Grigor was pulling off, to be honest, more than anything else. And Kira, you were in the live chat for that one. You unexpectedly stayed up for that.
I did. I was shocked. Like you said earlier in the day to me, actually, didn't you? About surely Alcaraz's tennis will keep you awake, and it was Dimitrov's that really got me. I could not go to bed. It was just absolutely stunning, and I'm a fan of Carlos and everything that he's doing, and I was looking forward to sort of him in the final, because I sort of assumed that it would happen, which is obviously not the case. But by about halfway through that first set, I was rooting for Dimitrov, because it was I just wanted him to keep that level for as long as possible.
Well, if he does, we're in for a spectacular match in about 2 hours' time, 2 hours and sort of 15 minutes or so. Damien will be back for that. He'll be with our Scottish friend Tom, who will be guiding you through that match. And we're looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say as that unfolds. But thank you both so much for coming on and joining me and watching the latest episode of Medvedev versus Sinner. Their 11th meeting. Damien doesn't have to correct me on the numbers for this one, because I don't think they met on the Challenger Tour. So
it is
it is the 11th.
Definitely. And also, by the way, with the title defense of Medvedev, we also don't have to specify tour level. He also hasn't defended the Challenger title.
How many Challenger titles has Medvedev won?
I'm not even sure. Summer of Me 2016 for sure, but it's probably not that many. It's gonna be.
It's from before your time.
Yeah,
so...
it actually kind of is. Yeah. I only remember that Summer of Me one because it was the only one for Joris Delor before he had all the surgeries. So it's not even because of Medvedev. It was before my time. Yes.
It's before your time. There's not many things that are before Damien's time on the Challenger Tour, but that one was. All right, let's wrap this up. So thanks so much for everyone for joining.
Well, that's his only one, by the way. I just checked.
Brilliant. One Challenger title for Daniil Medvedev. He will not be following up with the 1,000 title. Jannik Sinner is putting himself in pole position to maybe end his Miami heartbreak, because he's been in 2 Miami finals before, lost them both. 2021 to Hubert Hurkacz, 2023 to Daniil Medvedev. Can he end that Miami heartbreak streak? We will see. But of course, it's going to depend on his opponent. Join us in a couple of hours for that match. And, if you are new, if you are sort of watching us for the first time and you like these commentaries, we'll be continuing to bring you all the big matches from Miami. We're going to be doing the women's final. I'm going to be covering that one. Men's final on Sunday. And we'll be bringing you all the we'll bring you lots of behind the scenes from future tournaments. I believe Damien is about to get on a plane to Estoril at some point.
Tomorrow.
Okay. That's getting ready for that showdown with John Silk, our glorious leader.
I hope we get a chance to play. I really do.
Lots of things to look forward to if you follow us on the channel. So hope to see you again on a live stream. Come back in a couple of hours. Come back tomorrow for the women's final. Come back on Sunday for the men's final. Join us whenever you can. Until we see you again, take care and keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.